Okay, everybody, thanks for joining me. I really want to talk, first of all, about these terrible California fires. I'll get back to that in just a moment. We wound up, I suppose, with around 2 to 3 inches of snow. I'm making this video on Friday. I'll post it later today. Our roads are closed. In the South, we just don't have the equipment to deal with this kind of, we don't have snow trucks and things of that nature. We do salt the roads, and that's what they're doing now. So the temperatures are above freezing. The snow is turned into rain, and it should warm up some tomorrow and melt the snow away for the most part. It's pretty, it's nice, and then you're ready for it to just go away, and see you next year. All right, so we're just kind of hunkered down. We got food, shelter, coffee, and water, so I guess we're good to go. So we're going to muddle through. I'm kind of housebound for the next couple of days, but we'll survive. We will survive. We're doing better than the poor people of California, and we shouldn't forget the poor people of Appalachia who suffered the terrible floods a few months back. But let's talk about these California wildfires, because I have a few thoughts that I want to share with you, and I have several things I want to note as well. First of all, the question I think that has to be asked is what caused them? What caused these fires? If you're looking for the cause of a fire, I suppose there's several possibilities. Immediately, I thought this could be simply what's called, the insurance companies call an act of God. You get lightning strikes and they will start wildfires. And then, of course, you have the possibility of arson. That's always a possibility. And then you have the possibility, and I don't claim to know, but again, I'm a question asker. Again, you have the possibility, which I think probably carries the most weight in this particular situation, of forestry mismanagement. That would be my guess. I'm not the only one saying that. California, as we all know, is the land of fruits and nuts. California is where the political leadership values nature and animals above human beings, apparently. That's all I can figure. Specifically to the issue of forest management, leftists don't understand, folks. They just don't understand. Trees are sacred to the environmental wackos, as Rush Limbaugh used to call them. And the very notion that you would take a tree down, that you'd fell a tree, that you go all Paul Bunyan in the forest is just reprehensible to them, because trees are sacred. Nature is sacred. Babies aren't, but that's another topic. And you can't cut a tree down. That's, nature. Nature is our God, right? Nature is the earth is our mother, and blah, blah, blah. But in order to, and I'm no expert on this, but I do understand. I've owned property. I do understand some of the basic principles of forestry management. Sometimes you have to have controlled burns in order to prevent fires. That might sound counterintuitive to the leftists, but it's true. Sometimes the forest needs to be thinned out to make it safer and get rid of a lot of underbrush. California and basically the West Coast has done nothing like this for years, and they've been sitting on a virtual powder keg, because although in the last year they've got a good bit of rainfall, typically, as I understand it, at least Southern California doesn't get a lot of rainfall, and the conditions were dry, the winds were high, as I understand it, and a lot of people have been actually predicting for a while that something like this was going to happen. It happened with Joe Rogan predicted it just months ago. He had a special guest on his show. I think his name was Sam Morrell. Donald Trump, when he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, talked about the water situation, which I'll get to in just a moment. But if you don't manage your forest, if you don't manage your woodlands, then you are almost inviting disaster. And it was as Rogan was saying, if they had a fire start to the east of Los Angeles, this thing could continue unabated to the ocean and virtually destroy the city. And we're seeing something to that degree. I'm sure by this point you've seen the photos and the videos, particularly this Pacific Palisades, I believe it's called, area of greater Los Angeles, which is absolutely destroyed. It's been obliterated. It's burned down. People, tens of thousands of people are homeless. They've lost their homes. Many of them famous people you've heard of. You know, it's a terrible thing to lose your home to fire. I never have, but you stop and think about it a moment. If I had a car crash and my car was totaled and my car was destroyed, I can replace a car, but inside your home are things you cannot replace. They're items of sentimental value. You may have a particular I know Marina has quilts and things of this nature that she inherited from her grandparents that you can't place value on it. And if you lost these things, photos and knickknacks and maybe some furniture that you inherited from your great-grandparents have been passed down for generations, if you lose these things in a house fire, it's irreplaceable. You cannot place a value on that because it's beyond value. It's sentimental in value. And so thousands of these people have lost their homes. One of the famous people that had his home destroyed was the great James Woods. James Woods is a man I really am a fan of. He's an actor who had the audacity to reveal himself as a conservative in Hollywood. And since that time, he's been pretty much blackballed by the Hollywood industry because, as we all know, leftists are compassionate and they're so caring and they're so loving and they don't judge anyone unless, of course, you're a conservative, in which case, good luck finding work. And James Woods has basically been blackballed because of his conservative stand. There's probably a good many people in the movie industry who are conservatives, but they're never going to say it because they know what happens. I'm telling you, leftists are the most intolerant people alive. They preach one thing, they preach tolerance and love and compassion, unless you disagree with them, in which case they have none of the aforementioned characteristics. But anyway, James Woods is just pitiful. I feel so sorry for this man. He lost his home in the Pacific Palisades and all the contents. It's all gone. And I saw him do an interview where he had a young girl come up and offered him the contents of her piggy bank, and he just broke down in tears, as did I. It was so very sad. But anyway, folks, look, let's cut to the chase. California, as well as places like Oregon and Washington, places like this, New York, New Jersey, Detroit, Minneapolis, places like this for so many years have been ruled politically by the left, and you look at the utter mess that they've made of things. Nothing follows leftist leadership other than catastrophe. Absolute catastrophe, because liberals don't have any common sense, or if they do, they don't use it. And these people in California, whether or not these fires were caused by forestry mismanagement, I don't know, but I do know they don't practice good conservative conservation is the word I'm looking for, conservation. And Trump has been talking about this. He's been talking about the water situation out there, and let me get to that real quickly if I can. Because there was a lack of water in greater Los Angeles to battle these fires. And Trump, to his credit, folks, was talking about this months ago. He was talking about the fact that Gavin Newsom, as he calls him, and he's right, was basically keeping water away from Californians because he was diverting it into the Pacific Ocean so that they could keep the smelt, S-M-E-L-T, this worthless fish, as Trump calls it, so the smelt wouldn't go extinct. Now, Victor Davis Hanson talks about this as well. But it's worth noting that Trump was talking about this water situation months ago. He was largely prophetic about this. And listen to what he said just the other day, but it is consistent with what he's been saying. He said this, quote, "It's very sad because I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish." He's talking about the smelt. They have no water in the fire hydrants today in Los Angeles. They have plenty of water. They don't have a drought. They send it out to the Pacific, and it's crazy. So what's happening in California is a true tragedy. Now, that's not hyperbole, and it's not misinformation. He's absolutely right about this. Victor Davis Hanson talked about this in a video, and let me quote what he said from his video. I wrote this down. The great Victor Davis Hanson said of this water shortage that really isn't a water shortage. This is man-made. This should piss every Californian off. I'm telling you, every American. This is what Democratic leadership gets us, folks. Victor Davis Hanson said this, quote, Newsom ensured that water out of the Sacramento River and watershed out of Northern California would go out to the ocean rather than the aqueduct, so Los Angeles did not have sufficient amounts of water. Victor Davis Hanson is reflecting exactly what Trump was talking about. So this governor, Gavin Newsom, was for the sake of preserving a fish called the smelt. The smelt. Gavin Newsom was diverting water from Northern California to the ocean. It wouldn't go into the aqueducts. It would be rerouted directly into the ocean. This is beyond belief to me, so that the smelt won't go extinct. Have you got that? Now, humans may die, but that's okay, folks. We've got to preserve the smelt. Is this beyond belief? This is what you get from putting Democrats into office, because they're not only idiots, they're evil. And they value animals over human beings. They value trees and nature over human beings. It's unbelievable. But this is largely man-made. I don't know if the fire was preventable. I'm not saying that, but the fact that Los Angeles doesn't have sufficient water to battle this fire is unforgivable, because the water was available, but because of an evil, short-sighted, incompetent governor, Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, I'll get to her in a minute, this fire rages even as I speak on Friday afternoon. As far as I know, it's still going, because the fire department doesn't have they don't have the manpower, they don't have the equipment, and they don't have the water because of the governor. And Gavin Newsom, what does he say when questioned about this? Well, let's don't make this about politics. No, I think we should make it about politics, Governor. And the fact that you are a terrible governor, and as far as I'm concerned, a terrible human being for allowing something like this to happen. I'm glad the smelt is happy, Gavin. But humans are dying and losing their homes left and right because you prefer to fish over a fellow Shame on you, Gavin Newsom. Shame on you, California Democrats, who have absolutely wrecked and ruined a beautiful state. I've been there. It is a beautiful state. Washington is beautiful. Oregon is beautiful. Absolutely ruined by Democratic rule, folks. It's as simple as that. And I pity the good conservative people in these states, because there are some. Some on the eastern part of Washington want to break away. Same in Oregon. They want to go to Idaho where they got some sense. This is what voting for Democrats gets us. It's just as simple as that. Now let's get to Karen Bass, who is the current mayor of, sorry, I got my finger in your face, current mayor of Los Angeles. Have you seen this video? I'm trying to get a different template so that I can share some media again on my on the videos, but I've got a new computer and I'm still working the kinks out. Pardon me while I get some coffee. Karen Bass is the mayor of Los Angeles. Perhaps you saw recently where someone was trying to question her the last few days about, and they were asking Karen Bass, the mayor, all these relevant questions. Let me give you some of the questions. She was being asked about being in Ghana during these fires. Los Angeles began to burn, and Mayor Karen Bass got on a plane and went to Ghana for the presidential inauguration because, folks, let's face it, you just can't miss those events. The president of Ghana is going to be inaugurated. I mean, you got to attend that, right? Even though your city is burning to the ground, you don't want to miss the presidential inauguration in Ghana. And this reporter said, do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? And do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? And he kept on asking her this, and she would not. There's video of this if you want to go find it. She would not answer. She wouldn't acknowledge. She wouldn't look at him. She could not say a word. She was an absolute mute. She wouldn't answer because there is no answer. Because what she did was wrong. She knows she's wrong. She knows that she's been undermining the city that she is supposed to be serving for so long. In the 2024-2025 budget for the Los Angeles Fire Department, Karen Bass, the mayor of the city, cut $17.6 million from their budget. And I have a list of all the things. Here's where she did send money, though, okay? Now remember, Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, cut $17.6 million from the fire department's budget, but she allocated tens of thousands of dollars to the, quote, Midnight Stroll Transgender Cafe, unquote, the Gay Men's Chorus, and other homosexual pride programs, while cutting almost $18 million, as I said, from the fire department. She also granted $170,000 for social justice art worker investments, $13,000 for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender Heritage Month programs, and $10,000 for the One Institute for the International Gay and Lesbian Archives. Why are these people so infatuated with gayness to the degree that you want to send them money? Did she send any money to the hetero men's chorus? I mean, if there is such a thing, nobody's asking for any money. Why do you promote this, Mayor? Why do you give these people money? Hey, if you want to go have a gay men's chorus, go have a gay men's chorus. Why have I got to finance it, for heaven's sakes? Go get a piano and get to singing. Why have you got to have taxpayer money at the expense of the fire department? I forgot to turn one of my lights on. Pardon me. Let's see if that's better. I don't know. We'll see. Well, One of my lights just fell, folks. Hey, pardon me while I rehang my light. Okay, sorry, I'm getting worked up. It's a one-man production, right? I am the producer and the star of the show, or whatever I am. Okay, sometimes Marina helps me, but she's elsewhere right now. I think she went outside, actually. So anyway, Karen Bass gives money to all these other causes, but she cuts the budget of there's something I've got to show you, but she cuts the budget of the fire department. Now here, let me show you the hypocrisy of a leftist, this being Karen Bass. Now get this. In 2021, Karen Bass slammed Texas Senator Ted Cruz for being out of town when Hurricane Beryl struck Texas. Today she's working to avoid accountability for being in Ghana when her city fell victim to this week's wildfires. Listen to what Karen Bass said of Ted Cruz back in 2021. I quote, "Ted Cruz fleeing Texas in the middle of a deadly crisis is part of a larger pattern of the GOP abandoning folks in crisis. We need to build a movement to kick them all out," unquote. Wow! Do you really feel that way, Karen? We need to kick them all out because when the you-know-what hit the fan, they took off for another country. Ted Cruz, when Hurricane Beryl struck Texas, Ted Cruz he fled Texas and went somewhere else. Well, he didn't go to Ghana, Karen. You are the mayor of Los Angeles, California, and when your city was on fire, you get on a plane and go to Ghana. Who the hell cares about Ghana? This reminds me of Ray School Bus Nagin. Does that name bring back any memories for you folks? Former mayor of New Orleans, when Hurricane Katrina hit, School Bus Nagin, they called him, because there was a fleet of school buses in New Orleans that they could have used to evacuate residents, but Ray Nagin just let them sit and all go underwater, and then he fled to Texas. He's right out of the Karen Bass School of Mayorship. So what you are seeing in California is DEI over credentialed professionals to run things. The diversity, equity, inclusion, and Karen Bass is just the epitome of it. I could go on and on about that, but I want to move on. Let me move on to. So look. Hopefully we can get this thing under control, but whatever the cause, I know they've arrested someone for arson, and there could have been that element in this. I don't know the answer for sure, but I do know that a lot of this could have been prevented, and I also know that the fire department needed water that it simply did not have because of mismanagement by leftists, and it's as simple as that. Okay, have you heard about this? I don't know how many of you may use tobacco products, but Joe Biden apparently is making his move before he leaves office. This guy is just, like I said in the previous video, it's like scorched earth. Left and right, he's doing everything he can to make the lives of the American people worse. Oh, by the way, how did Joe Biden respond to the California wildfires? By sending another $500 million to Ukraine. That's no lie. And I didn't mention earlier that California, the governor of California had sent firefighting equipment to Ukraine, of course, because you know they don't need it, right? The FDA is reportedly looking to effectively ban cigarettes in favor of products with lower nicotine levels. preparing to, quote, establish a maximum nicotine level to reduce the addictiveness of cigarettes and certain other combusted tobacco products, unquote. Now, many experts fear that the rule would end up boosting business for black market cartels rather than reducing addiction. Biden's ban is a gift with a bow and balloons to organized crime cartels with it, whether it's cartels, Chinese organized crime, or Russian mafia. Former assistant director of the ATF, Rich Marianos, reportedly said. He continued, "It's going to keep America smoking, and it's going to make the streets more violent. Mexican cartels are well positioned to bring illegal tobacco across the border and would make a financial killing if they began selling standard cigarettes that were no longer available in the common market. Americans are going to want these products whether Joe Biden likes it or not." Now, get the picture. We've been through this before. Have you ever heard of something called prohibition? Now, folks, let me tell you something. Anybody who tries to take a cigarette away from a smoker, good luck with that. Because people who smoke cigarettes are going to smoke cigarettes regardless of what legislation you may pass. Now, Joe Biden, of course, is just on a mission to do as much damage as he can to America. Now, look, I don't think you should smoke. If you smoke, I think it'd be great if you could quit. But what you do is really none of my business, is it now? What happened when we had prohibition back in the early in the last century? Did it stop people from drinking? No, it certainly didn't. That's where we got moonshine from. People who wanted to get a shot of hooch are going to get it one way or another. And so it is with tobacco products. People are going to smoke cigarettes regardless of what the government does. It's as simple as that. This is utter folly. This is another case. This is a typical Democratic move where a Democrat in political power wants to be your mama and your daddy because you're just not mature enough or smart enough to run your life, don't you see? You've got to have somebody from Washington lead you by the hand and guide you by the hand and make sure you're not smoking the wrong kind of cigarette. If you've got to smoke, well, that's okay, but you can only smoke these particular cigarettes. Joe Biden, remember, doesn't want you to have a gas oven. He wants you to drive an electric car. These people are all about regulation. They want to regulate every single area of your life. They want to ban assault weapons. And I've been wondering, what isn't an assault? What is not an assault weapon? If I pick up my coffee cup and throw it at your head, is this not an assault weapon? So are we going to ban coffee cups too? Typical Democrats, they punish law-abiding citizens, but they won't punish criminals, as is evidenced by Biden's mass commutations of death row inmates in federal penitentiaries. But he'll punish you. You're abiding by the law. You're a hard-working, tax-paying American citizen. Well, we can't tolerate people like that. So he wants to ban the modern cigarettes. Look, if you want to smoke cigarettes, go smoke cigarette. Go smoke 3 packs a day if you want to. I don't think you should, but it's none of my business. God, these people, they're such nosy Nellies. If you want to drink whiskey, drink whiskey. I don't care. Folks, look, I'm up to here with us making crimes where there are none. We prosecute people for victimless crimes. Donald Trump in Judge Merchan's courtroom, for example. Well, he overinflated the value of his properties. First of all, no, he didn't. Second of all, there was no victim. And if there is no victim, there is no crime. It's as simple as that. And if you choose to smoke a cigarette, that's your decision. It might be a good decision, might be a poor decision, but it's your decision, and you're not taking anything away from me by doing so. So the notion that Joe Biden would ban cigarettes is folly, to say the least. I'm full up to here with these people. I've had it. I'm telling you, you put Democrats in office, and it is not a stretch to say people die because of these people. Property is lost, property is destroyed, and people die because of these incompetent, evil people ruling in places like California and Washington and Los Angeles. Gavin Newsom, Joe Biden, Karen Bass. This is incompetence on display. All right, I got to stop ranting. That's enough for one day. Folks, do me a big favor, please, and like the video. Subscribe to the old Triple T channel if you have not. Comment down below. I would really appreciate that. Have a great weekend. Stay warm. Woo! Have a cup of coffee. And I'll see you soon.